Andrew Burfield, a father of two and former handyman, has been condemned by many as a manipulative, gaslighting liar and a vindictive monster. Today, he received a life sentence for the brutal murder of his ex-girlfriend, Katie Kenyon. On April 22nd, Burfield, 51, deceived Kenyon into thinking they were going for a picnic in Gisborne Forest, only to unleash a savage attack, delivering 12 blows to her head with an axe. He then callously buried her in a makeshift grave he had prepared the day before, using a spade borrowed from his father. Throughout the trial at Preston Crown Court, Burfield attempted to evade responsibility, claiming that he accidentally struck Kenyon with the axe during a dispute when she challenged him to knock a Coke can out of her hand. Police and the prosecution contended that Burfield meticulously planned his actions in advance. On the third day of his trial, faced with overwhelming evidence, he finally pleaded guilty to the murder. Today, he received a life sentence with a minimum term of 32 years, meaning he won't even be considered for release until he's 83 years old. But who is Andrew Burfield, and what drove him to meticulously plan and carry out the cold-blooded murder of his ex-girlfriend, a woman described as a loving mother, daughter, sister, and friend? Burfield, known to dabble in handyman work, admitted to authorities that he was familiar with digging holes due to his background in construction. At the time of Katie's disappearance, he was involved in maintenance work at two properties in the Burnley area. However, outside of his professional endeavors, Burfield's behavior took a darker turn. For months, he engaged in manipulation, systematically gaslighting Katie over thousands of pounds she supposedly owed him following his initiation of a high court claim against her. This relentless manipulation led Katie to dub him a Tinder swindler in messages to her mother. On March 16th, Katie confided in her mother, expressing her paranoia and fear that Burfield might harm her. A series of text messages and WhatsApp exchanges between February and April revealed Burfield's insidious manipulation of the vulnerable mother of two's fragile mental state. He went as far as suggesting that she needed rehabilitation to address her mental health issues, even offering to cover the expenses. While professing his love for her, Burfield simultaneously belittled Katie's concerns about the debt, secretly engaging a debt collection agency to pursue the claim. He was well aware of Katie's fears of losing her home and possessions, yet callously disregarded her emotional well-being, as evidenced by her admission in a text that she felt vulnerable and scared. In one of his messages to her, he wrote, "I'm thinking we need to get you on the right path, Babs," urging her to take a 2-week break from work and enroll in a rehabilitation clinic. Another message followed Katie's declaration that he had ruined her and her children's lives, to which he responded, "Breathe and get your head right, and you will see this for what it is, Katie." During the trial, evidence emerged revealing that Burfield had been involved with another woman, contradicting the sincerity of his professed feelings for Katie. Upon his initial arrest for Katie Kenyon's disappearance, Burfield misled the police during his first interview, suggesting she might be at a rehab center. He continued weaving a tapestry of deceit during subsequent interactions with detectives, claiming that Katie had last visited his house on April 22nd and feigning ignorance about her whereabouts thereafter. However, as time passed and police searches persisted, Burfield's narrative evolved throughout his interviews. He initially informed the police that on the evening before her murder, he conducted a reconnaissance mission stating, "Recce, see if I can get a final place because we were going to go and burn our things." Later, he elaborated, explaining, "Any issues that she's had in the week or month or whatever, she likes to write it down on a bit of paper and burn it. Because what that's supposed to give you is an end to it and a release. Yeah, she wanted to set the things on fire, so I said, why don't we do the Gisburn, but you'll see it on the texts. Why don't we do it at Gisburn? And she went, yeah, cool." During an interview on April 26th, Burfield claimed he had given Katie £6,000 to settle the high court debt, alleging that Katie frequently asked him for money, which led to their falling out. However, by the fifth interview on April 27th, Burfield had agreed to cooperate with the police, revealing that on April 22nd, they had established a camp at their place in Gisburn Forest, with an axe placed atop a cool box they had brought along. During this encounter with detectives, Burfield spun his implausible narrative about the Coke can incident, stating, "I went for the tree at the side of her and it hit her in the head. I just sat there with her in my arms covered in blood, honest to God. It were summit like a film. I were covered from head to toe in blood." Adding to his web of deceit, Burfield asserted to the police that he hadn't intended to kill Katie, but had planned to return to Burnley to tend to the children before returning to the forest to take his own life. He then described how he took a spade, dug a hole, and placed Katie inside to prevent her discovery by anyone or being preyed upon by animals. He claimed the entire process took him 10 to 15 minutes, after which he covered the grave with twigs and leaves to conceal it. Upon returning home, he proceeded to send pre-written messages to Katie's children and their fathers from her phone before incinerating the phone and her bank cards on his fire, gathering the ashes into a bag which he then disposed of in a bin at the local spar. During his final interview, Burfield admitted to initially deceiving the police. Subsequently, he was escorted to Gisburn Forest, where he guided authorities to the shallow grave where he had concealed Katie's body. By meticulously assembling the evidence, investigators confirmed that Burfield had meticulously planned Katie's murder. They discovered text messages stored in his phone 3 weeks prior to her death, which he intended to send to her children after committing the crime. The lead detective in the case remarked that he had never encountered a situation with such extensive premeditation marked by cold and callous intent. Despite not having recent convictions, Burfield's history with the legal system and incarceration is notable. In fact, he was previously incarcerated in 2001 at the age of 29, accused of stealing his then-boss's car and selling it for £2,700. Burfield faced trial at Burnley Crown Court. While he was acquitted of theft charges, he received a 12-month prison sentence for admitting to attempting to pervert the course of justice. Throughout the 2-day trial preceding Burfield's eventual confession to his heinous crimes, the jury heard no clear motive for Katie's murder. His actions seemed devoid of reason or logic, leaving unanswered questions of why. Yet, regardless of the motive, by extinguishing the life of a loving, innocent young mother, he irreparably shattered 2 families, Katie's and his own. For this, he faces a lengthy period, perhaps the remainder of his days, behind bars. This morning, November 17th, Burfield, residing on Todmorden Road in Burnley, was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 32 years. And if you found this video insightful, don't hesitate to give it a like and share it with others who might find it interesting. Every like, share, and subscription goes a long way in supporting our channel. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.